Hey, good morning, everybody, or I should say afternoon. Yep, still sitting in the garage, a little cold, at least if you know where I live, and yeah, a little cold, a little snowy. But anyways, been a while, a couple weeks or whatever since I put my last video out, and again, I want to put another message in the bottle up into the great internet ocean. Um, Found some interesting things that I just want to put out there. Obviously, so I wasn't a big Twitter fan um, over the years. Just never really got it. Never really was my thing. Um, but it's been very interesting. I think since Elon Musk has taken it, has bought it, and even then I didn't jump back into it. Didn't really concern myself much with it. Um, but I find myself over the last couple of weeks, and of course, social media is no place to be hanging out all the time. Um, Including watching my videos, right? But since Elon bought it, it's been very interesting. I've met some very interesting people on YouTube. I've taken part in some spaces, which is actually like a giant video chat room, which is nice, where there could be 7,000 people in there. It's co-hosts, and it's not overwhelming, which is really nice to listen to the different sides and perspective of any relative topic that they happen to be discussing. But generally, been jumping into spaces as they've done what they call the Twitter files, and I find it amazing. And I've actually asked the question, even of my own family, because not everybody thinks the same way, which is great. We want free thinkers. We want everybody to kind of make up their own minds. But I did ask a question. So there's a lot of information that came out, what they call the Twitter files, and basically what it is Elon bought Twitter, and whatever was left, after he bought it. God knows what they destroyed prior to him getting his hands on it. But he's got his engineers in there, and they're going through, and they're searching the servers and everything else. So a lot of things that got dropped. I think he's now on his eighth drop. I don't know if he is or Twitter is, however you want to say it, because they call it the Twitter files. But the majority of the mainstream media is not covering this in any way, shape, or form. I am absolutely mind blown, but not surprised, especially after the eighth drop. Um, so there's been many topics, but it's clear as day. So there are a lot of people out there that think that there are ABC elements that were involved in social media, in control of information, and propaganda. So a lot of people thought this stuff, and it was like, everybody's a conspiracy theorist. Matter of fact, I think one of the ABCs called anybody that was saying, hey, by the way, if you believe any of this, or you're even speaking of it, you're a conspiracy theorist, right? But what Elon and his team have done, they've actually published the emails live. It's almost like a blockchain scenario, transparency to the sense where you can look at it, you can see it, you can read it, make up your own mind, but I would encourage a lot of people that even if you don't like Twitter, even if you don't like Elon Musk, I don't know why. I mean, the guy seems pretty cool. He's actually joined a few of the spaces. He has spoken. He seems to be kind of like this normal person, which is really cool. That people can ask him questions. He's willing to answer. I think he just truly does care about humanity. I don't know. I haven't picked up anything that he has said or done as of late that that nothing raises a flag for me, right? So he's putting the information out there, and he's saying, hey, by the way, here it is. The truth's out. So I would encourage a lot of people to follow up and look for Twitter files. If you join Twitter just for the fact to read the Twitter files, I think it's a good information source. And again, you can read it and then make up your own mind. The whole idea is free thinking. But when you get into the point where you're watching mainstream media, it's obviously it's a fact at this point that they are not telling you the truth, that the social media's companies were all involved in propaganda and cover-ups. I was watching a space live, and the way space works on Twitter is it's a hosted program, and in the programming, the host controls the room, and they have the ability to mute others. They have the ability to allow other people to speak, so on and so on. What they don't do is mute themselves. They can't Yeah, only they can mute themselves. Nobody else can. That's just the way the program's supposed to be written. I'm sitting in a live space and I'm listening, and not once, not twice, but three times on the last Twitter Files drop, which was Twitter Files 8, which was the involvement of some of the letter agencies' involvement, where it showed they were absolutely involved in propaganda. They were absolutely paying for the propaganda, and they were controlling information that was on social media platforms. Now, we heard this from Zuckerberg a few months ago, and he had openly admitted that the FBI approached him. He didn't go into, I still think that he got in bed with the wrong people and he was afraid and he wanted everybody to know. So in case he ended up suiciding himself, people would know something was up. Otherwise, I don't know why he took to Joe Rogan at all. Elon has joined the spaces and at this point just opened the doors so much wider than Zuckerberg ever did. I think Zuckerberg put it out there just to protect himself. I think Elon is doing it to protect us. That's only if people actually read or see or participate, right? So it's like a democracy, or it is a democracy in a sense, the way he's creating it, which is nice, is that if you're watching or listening in these spaces, you can DM, direct message some of these, a lot of these people. You get to hear from a lot of really interesting people that are in the media, and you've definitely heard names, but yet you have access to them directly, which is really cool. I like. I had questions about some of the things that I thought maybe that were going on governmentally, and reached out and DM'd somebody that in the last administration was tightly connected and an advisor, and they reached directly back to me. I thought that was so cool, and I only did that after I listened to this person speak, and I thought they were very. I just thought they were being honest. I mean, and they weren't being rude to people, but they had no problem with. I don't say defending a position, but calling people out and just being straightforward, straight shooters. So it was really kind of cool. I would encourage people that if you have the opportunity, just to join one of the spaces, just to listen. It's really kind of cool. Like I said, there's a lot of people, and you get both sides of the fence. So you get some people that will say, "Well, all of this is nonsense." You get some people say, "Oh, this is absolutely true." Again, you gotta make up your own mind. And that's the whole point, I think, of what Elon's trying to do with the Twitter Files, is give people information, and then you got to make up your own mind, whatever you want to believe. And I've posted over and over and over within those spaces is the idea of cognitive dissonance. And generally what that means is the brain. So imagine you as a child, if you were raised in a certain religion, a certain culture, a certain whatever, right? You believe what you believe because you've been taught your entire life. But then all of a sudden, something is presented to you that is not in line with everything you've been taught to believe for your entire life. Your brain, just like mine, just like anybody's, it has a problem separating that information because it doesn't register. It can't make sense of it because it's like if everybody says the sky is blue, but all of a sudden we find out for real that the sky is actually purple. It just, everybody's mind would not be able to wrap around that thought process because everybody knows the sky's blue, right? Because that's what we all been taught. I'm not saying the sky's purple. I'm using it as a reference. And so this also happens in politics. This happens in governments, right, around the world. Everybody utilizes propaganda, I think, in every country because, that's just the unfortunate part of how it works. So we have a lot of things going on with that. So I would strongly encourage a lot of people that even if you don't want to, you go on anonymously into Twitter, create whatever, and just listen. I think there's some really, really good information. I ignore the far right. I ignore the far left. I've stated so many times in my videos that I don't believe in the far right or far left. That's not who it is. That's not who I am, and I don't encourage others to be that way. I encourage everybody to be free thinkers, and just take information in. I mean, you're a human being. You have a brain. You're intelligent. You can make up your own decision. You don't need somebody to tell you. You don't need me to explain things. I say this to my own family. People I absolutely love and adore, but it is not my job to educate. Maybe put some information out there, and then if you're curious, you go research it for yourself. But that's one thing that's been going on this last week. That's just been, or last couple of weeks, been really cool to be a part of. I think it's a transformative time in just history that what's happening. That so much truth has come to light. Now, what will happen? From it all, I don't know. It'll be interesting to say the least. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Zelensky shows up at to Congress the other day. I think I've made it very clear in all my other videos what I think of Zelensky, what I think of our involvement in the Ukrainian war. I am not for supporting that war, but not in any way, shape, or form. I think in the first couple of videos, that we were at like 40 billion, and then we went to 60 billion, and now we just pledged another 47 billion. I mean, we literally have given this country the equivalent of their entire GDP plus some, which is insane. And here's a little thought. I mean, a lot of the money being sent over there, number one, they can't track it, right? So that makes no sense. You don't send billions and billions and billions of dollars somewhere and nobody can track it. I mean, that's insane. So I would question why. Another part is a lot of the arms that are promised for Ukraine have a delivery date of 3 to 5 years from now. So once again, I would ask why. So if you're promising something to be delivered in 3 to 5 years, so I guess the agencies involved in our government and the world doesn't think this war will be over anytime soon. So when I've said that I believe that we're in World War III, I'm hearing more and more people start talking about that, which is interesting. I challenge people to go back and look at my previous videos. Been doing this for about, 6 months now, and to see how many things have come to fruition. And I didn't want to be right about things. It's just I wanted to question the why. And again, the more I learn, boy, sometimes I want to unlearn. Sometimes I just really do. But unfortunately, truth is the truth. And I don't think this war ends anytime soon. Not when weapons are promised 3 to 5 years in delivery. So that's the whole Zelensky thing. What an embarrassment, I think, for our government to be holding up another government's flag on the floor of Congress. Don't agree with it. I'm an American. We just gave this country $100 billion. Why are we raising their flag? Who's the hero here? Last I checked, we are the heroes, not them. If we're fighting the fight of the good fight and we're supporting it with weapons and money and humanitarian aid and everything else, then that makes us. If anything, he should have brought an American flag. Zelensky should have brought an American flag signed by his so-called patriots. But again, I've said in other videos, a lot of the majority of his military, because they did not have a strong military in Ukraine to back that government at all. And so, you go back and research. The majority of his military are Nazis, straight up. That was the Nazi party. That's what they decided to do, was back Zelensky. And we are now backing Zelensky, which is backing Nazis who are fighting Russia. The Russians and the Nazis. And again, I say look at history. That doesn't turn out well. Not for any of us. Why we continue to support this is beyond me. I really wish people would speak up. Another thing that just blew my mind this week in the news is, the Senate passes a $1.7 trillion omnibus bill. So what I want to say is bill is the part that kills me, that I don't know if people are paying attention to, because if you have a budget, you pass a budget, right? And you can flux that budget back and forth, even if you did it for your home, whatever, but if you wrote the budget, it's not a budget, it's a bill. In other words, there are all these new laws in a 4,000-page bill. That's not a budget, that's a bill. How many new laws got created that we have no idea about? That really scares the hell out of me, and it should scare the hell out of you. 4,000 pages. What will we find out? Not so much about where the money went, which is horrible, but how many new laws got enacted without any of our Congress people even reading it. That's again, insanity. And I always say, we deserve what we get because people don't. it's like they don't want to pay attention. They don't want to have confrontation. They don't want to, they don't want conflict, but yet all they have is conflict because you've got so many people divided on sides. I mean, I wish they would just get rid of all the parties. Be honest, I've said that before. I say it again. I don't think there needs to be a Democrat Party or I don't really think there really is a huge separation at this point based on the voting that just occurred. The House, so the people spoke, the House of Republicans, which control the money, which is the purse, they just got elected to have the majority. So instead of waiting for the majority to make a decision on where the money gets spent, the minority, electedly so, even though they're still in majority, decided to push this through, and you got a bunch of Republicans in the Senate decide to go along with it. So whether it's Republican or Democrat, I think they're all crooks, and I've said that before, all of them. And I really wish to God people would force a law of term limits. And I think if we did that, we protect ourselves. These people that have been in there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, no, that's insane. Again, I go back to George Washington's 2 terms. He's out. He didn't want to be king. Why the hell we would have let any elected official stay in there for any length of time to attain that much power in the greatest country in the world, beyond me, makes no sense. Looking at that, the $1.7 trillion is just insane. Ron Paul actually said, hey, you know what? If we just spent the money we did in 2019, we were doing really good as a country. We had a good economy. Everything was funded. Everything was fine. That was pre-COVID, right? So we went into pre-COVID emergency crazy spending. Everybody knew what happened with all the excess amounts of money, and now they're talking, and everybody's heard or should have heard at this point how much of it was abused and stolen and taken, and everything else is billions of dollars. So that was previous, right? So now that happened after COVID. So 2019 bill. So if we went back and Ron Paul said, hey, let's just pass a budget that says 2019 numbers. We were fine then. We don't need all this extra money. And we just pass a budget, an actual budget, 2019 budget, not a bill, just budget. Everything would be funded. Everything would be great. Instead, not only did they not do that, they added in more money than President Biden even asked for pet projects. I don't get it. I hear people saying that, defund the FBI and all this. I don't know if that's the answer. Is there distrust in our governmental policies and the organizations that we've created? Yeah, okay. But does that mean you just erase it all? Not so much. So I put that out there. I hope everybody enjoys the video. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas. I certainly hope that you research some of these topics, take an interest in what's going on in your country, in our country. Your involvement is of the utmost. I certainly, again, out of curiosity, I would certainly recommend watching some of these Twitter file spaces on the drop. I'll give a little shout out, I guess, to Terrible, and that's what she goes by, Tarabull. But anyways, I kind of follow her because she jumps into spaces, and she doesn't say a lot, which is interesting, but she certainly brings in some amazing guest speakers that I like to listen to. So anyways, if you get a chance, I would jump on Twitter, give her a follow. At least you'll know kind of when the spaces are coming up, and then you can decide whether you want to join and listen. I think they're very interesting. So again, I hope you all have a great day. May put out another video. There's a lot of stuff going on. But in the meantime, God bless, Merry Christmas, and I hope you all stay safe and warm, and I'll talk to you all soon. God bless.